Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Your host, Tracy Hayes. Another best of the best on the show today. Another young agent who has just exploded her business. She hails from Bozeman, Montana. She has degrees in sports management and civic engagement from UNLV. After a short time doing some volunteer work in Africa, she returned to work for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then has made her way over to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then eventually into real estate. And we're going to go through that story today with her. One customer said of her, Shelby could not be a better realtor. From communication to helpfulness to loyalty, she has it all. She is a Montana state champion in golf. Let's welcome the guiding light for Compass Realty, Shelby Florenz, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you coming over a little early to talk to the loan officers, as we were mentioning pre-show. As we strive, one goal of the show is not only to tell your story, but also I'm going to use a word I didn't even think of, to humanize our industry and understand that we are dealing with people, and the loan officers, as much as the real estate agents, and us working hand in hand and understanding each other is so important to having that successful transaction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So as I start off every show, tell us about growing up in Bozeman, Montana.
Amazing. It's funny, I think everybody in their hometown, they want to move out and get away. So by 18, I was like, get me the heck out of here. I'm going to Vegas. But I look back and man, Bozeman is such a special place. My sister's a real estate agent out there and my best friend. We're only 3 years apart. So a lot of what we do is just, we go off of each other for ideas, marketing, kind of how to grow.
Do you exchange your stories?
Oh gosh, that's all we do. Yeah. Just because it's fun too, because it's such a different market, but It's similar just because Florida, we've been booming. Montana's been booming, just everybody moving from California being remote. So we've seen this spike in our areas we live in. I always say people here, like they finally figured out our little gem. People finally figured out Bozeman, but Bozeman, most gorgeous place in the world. If you haven't been to Montana, you got to go check it out. Definitely small town, country roads, but just good people.
Well, it was. I was listening to actually one of the first podcasts I ever listened to, and this was EXP realtor out of Reno, I think. He was talking to an agent in Montana who had a video blow up because he was taking all these people from LA who want moving up to Montana because they want the open space, right? But then they picked this house literally out in 40 miles outside of town. He's like, okay, you realize there's no cell phone service. Yeah. You may have bears going through your trash. Right. And he literally did this video off the hood of his car, standing with the beautiful mountains behind him, talking about what's it like to live in Montana, and that video went viral.
I'm sure. Yeah. But it's also why it's so special. They call it the last best place, but it really is. So I feel like I get the best of both worlds. Hopefully one day I'll have a place out there, and then I'll always call Ponte Vedra, Jacksonville home.
So now one of your little tidbits there, growing up in high school, we mentioned earlier, golf. How in the world you wouldn't? I think the average person, and I grew up in the Northeast. I grew up in Massachusetts, and so there. I mean, maybe you get 3 or 4, maybe 5 months of where you can reasonably play golf without
Montana's 2 good months, and I'm just being honest with you. We're either at our state champions. One time we were golfing in the snow. That's just the reality of the situation. But
did you change the color of the golf ball?
Oh yeah, but I always did pink golf balls. Let's be different, people. But I
went into the snowbank.
Yeah, I was a state champ, but I will say, in Florida, I probably wouldn't have been a state champ because the level's just a little different than in Montana. But it was a great experience. My dad got us in at a young age. It was a family sport. When there was 5 of us, including my parents, and that's what we would do every Sunday. And then, we just really got into it, and now I love it because now I get to go out with the guys, and they think, oh, I can't keep up, and I go and I smack it. And they're all like, dang, she can play.
Yeah, that little 5'2" girl.
So it kind of works out good that I ended in Florida, and now we get to play all the time. So hope my boys get into it one day.
All right, so what's the legal? Do you get a free drop out of the snowbank, or what? How does that work?
No, you just go for it. It's just like the sand. Yeah.
I'm just thinking you can't. Sometimes it goes in and you can't even see it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you got to make it work.
So when you were growing up, what was it about sports management that led you to go, or were you initially in sports management when you went to UNLV?
Yeah, so it's so funny. I've always been really short, so I played sports my whole life, basketball especially. I wasn't that good, but I thought I was really good. Wanted to make it to the NBA, which obviously wasn't possible. And I'm a woman. Yeah, exactly. But I was always just this itty bitty, and so I ended up playing through my senior year. But I really just sat the bench. But I was just a rah girl. Like I loved it. Basketball was my thing. Always loved sports. I was tomboy since I don't know how long. I'd have cornrows and shorts down to my ankles. Like that is how I dress. Now I'm so girly. My parents are always like shocked. But that I loved sports. That was my thing. So I went to UNLV starting with professional golf management. Thought that was going to be my route. Realized, no, I want to work in sports. I really wanted to work in community service and civic engagement, doing the nonprofit side. I was lucky enough right out of college after going on my trip to Africa. I got an internship with the Buccaneers in community relations, which is so specific, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I was, every Tuesday when the players had off, we were out at schools or we were doing the Glazer Family Foundation, and I was like, oh my God, I found it. Like, this is my job. This is exactly what I want to do. We're taking these players to these kids' schools, and they are beaming. Like, it was the coolest thing to get it organized and see it come through. Right. It was really special, and at that level. Yes. It was just really, really neat to see. So then I worked for the Rays for a little bit, same thing, community relations, and baseball was just too long for me. Those games, 80 games a year, I was just like, I'm tapped out. Football's for me. And then I obviously moved here with the Bradley family when they moved here.
So still doing community engagement with the Rays?
Yep.
You just had, it was going 9 months of the year.
Yeah, and I think I was kind of waiting to go, maybe like go back to the Buccaneers or another team. Again, I'm from Montana, so I was like, Florida's pretty far, and I had been loving it, but I was also 23. I was like, this is great. I can move wherever. I definitely was missing.
Out on the beach in the afternoon or whatever.
Yeah, I was missing a little bit sense of home, though, or family, you know? So the Bradleys, you know, through my family were connected to us. They called me and were like, we don't know exactly what we need out of you, but we need somebody. This is a big job, obviously, coming from Seattle. We're moving our family cross country. We have 4 kids, and this is our first time being head coach. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing either, but I'm here for it. Where do I sign? We signed the contract at a Starbucks at 6 a.m. like, let's figure this out together.
They actually had a contract for
no, they hired an HR company to figure it out for us. But basically, like, are you good? I'm like, I'm good. Let's do this, you know? And it was just like full speed ever since.
So at this stage, because I'm going to circle back to this again later. Your family had some relation with Gus.
Yep.
Obviously, they were alerted that you were in Florida already.
Yep.
The internship with the Bucs. Was there some connection there, or you just applied and they didn't know anybody else and they hired? Or I mean, because one of the things I think is very important in our industry is to your circles of influence and to stay in touch with those, whether they're friends of your parents, or because they'll give you a shot. Now, if you blow the shot, then
that's on you.
You're not going to call you back. But you. As you stated in our meeting, how important it is and how tight-knit that group is. And now that's good and bad.
Right.
Because if you're good at what you do, you're awesome. Right. You screw up somewhere, and everyone's like, hey, I don't know if you want to.
And that's with really anything, whether you're going out to a concert or behaving badly. I mean, people are watching whatever you do once, they are trusting you with the biggest purchase of their life. But funny you say that. Tampa, I actually just applied, and I followed up, and I did 2 Zoom interviews, and no, it was very much off resume, and then I got to the first interview, and then again, I was actually in Africa when I got the email, you got accepted, and I was cool. I was planning to like live in Africa the rest of my life, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just kind of a lost puppy out of college.
Peace Corps.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about. That was kind of similar, yeah. I couldn't think of it earlier.
That's kind of what I wanted to do,
the Peace Corps, yeah. So doing that kind of work, John F. Kennedy created the Peace Corps.
Exactly, yeah. Right. So I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I got this internship. She packed up my whole car. I mean, again, I couldn't do it without my parents. They moved me to Tampa. I flew right in from Africa to Tampa. I was living with 2 other interns at the time. I walk in, I mean, I probably reeked of not showering for how many weeks. I mean, I was just rough, right? And they were all like so professional, and I moved into this house with interns. My mom met me there, and from being in Africa, getting the email to like 2 weeks later, I was in the Bucs office, like, oh my God, like, this is real life. This is my dream coming true. It was really cool. I look back,
it's surreal when you put all that together, and now, you walk, I think there's, every time I go down to the stadium, I mean, there's this you walk in the stadium, or I was telling I work the practices and that are practicing in the stadium versus on the practice fields because there's construction going on, and you walk in and you're in this it's surreal, and that was your goal to get there. Just like the players are like, man, I want to play in that big stadium. That first time they walk in there and there's 70, 80,000 people screaming.
Exactly. And that's kind of how I felt. And I mean, you have to think Montana, we have no NFL team. Like this was big for me. I was living in Tampa, Florida, working for this NFL team. If anybody's been to the Buc Stadium and facilities, just gorgeous. I mean, top of the line. And so I did. I remember sitting in that meeting, like pinching myself. Like, this is so cool. So. Yeah, it's funny.
All right, so you get so it's Gus Bradley.
Yep.
He gets his the head coaching job at Jacksonville. He's talked to your parents, whatever, however, and they said, hey, Shelby's, call Shelby. See, they needed someone. You called it nanny, but I think personal assistant fits it greatly because that's what you put on your resume too. Because you did it all.
Yep.
Right. I mean, wherever they needed you, you did it.
Exactly. There was nothing off the. Yeah, off limits.
Right.
And they became my family. I mean, Gus married my husband and I. His daughter was in my wedding. His wife was my bridesmaid. His daughter was my flower girl. I mean, they are my family. They truly are. They're everything to me. And so it's so crazy how our world, like I look back, like I don't remember my life without them now,
Right.
It's just funny how that works
Reflecting
out.
back.
And I mean, these kids, I was with them, for like just such influential years, and now they're in my babies' lives and take care of my kids. So it's kind of cool to see them, flying into Jacksonville to babysit Mike. I mean, it's very neat.
Yeah. So you're doing all these things. You're helping her out. You're helping Gus out. When's you're starting to transition into the real estate?
Honestly, not until he got. I mean, I would have. I mean, they asked me to move to California with them when they got the job. I had met my husband in the meantime and married him, and I knew like this is our home. He's from here, born and raised. His parents are here. Most incredible people. So I was like, we knew Jacksonville is home. We are going to raise a family here. So it was kind of like that transition. I had interviewed with CAA Sports, maybe getting on the golf side of things. And I was like, well, where do I go next? I mean, this has been my life since college. I don't know anything else.
Right.
The Bradleys were like, well, in the meantime, watch our house. Property managers were keeping it. Other coaches were like, yeah, well, watch our house for us, will you? Yeah, I'm going to get my real estate license.
When you say watch their house, you literally are sitting in their house, or are you renting it out, or what? I mean,
the Bradleys,
not necessarily, but you're going over there regularly.
We were gonna rent it out originally, and then they realized we're gonna come back a lot. But I got my license thinking I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it the right way. I'm gonna start renting out their house. Got my realtor's license, and things kind of snowballed. And I jumped 2 feet in. They referred me, and I had this one of our really good friends, our next door neighbor, was like, Shelby, will you show us a house? This is the first day I get my license. I'm like, yeah, Jacqueline, of course, right? I show her this $700,000 house. I'm like, whoa. She's like, I want to buy it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? We make an offer that day. In the meantime, I have to list their other house. So my first day of real estate, I got so lucky, but I had 2 sales going within 24 hours of like getting my license, all because of Jacqueline Bedford, and I still thank her dearly. I tell her, I'm like, girl, you're still my favorite and most loyal client. But that really, I think, gave me the confidence. Like, I can do this. Let's go. I think she referred me on, and things kind of just went from there.
Do you find, and I've talked about it numerous times on the show, there's some family and friends that don't jump in with you right away because they want to see what you're going to do. Are you going to stick with this, or are you going to be any good at this? Right? They kind of have those questions. But there's other friends, like your friend Jacqueline that you're talking about, who already like and trust you and say, you know what, I want to be her first sale.
And that was her. She was my next door neighbor, and we had a great friendship, but she trusted me, and she jumped in. She never questioned a thing I did, and I got them the house, and it was super exciting. They still love it to this day, and we sold their house for a good amount of money. So, but I always look back like, what a great person, because she took a chance on me. And I think it makes me want to give other people a chance in those situations.
From a personal standpoint, I imagine you're still, active with. They still live here in town.
Yeah.
You're still good friends. But how, like you just stated, like, they took a chance on me. Yep. And I mean, that just says a lot about her.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, you were friends, and she knew who you were, but she also knew you were just a personal assistant at nanny last month, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That she knew or wanted to be part of your success. I think that's so. And it call out to Jacqueline for doing that.
Yeah, I look at my whole community in Jacksonville and just from being a nanny to, being around and all these relationships that have gotten brought up back in my life as a realtor. I'm so thankful, because I used to maybe be taking their kids, around or carpooling, but they trusted me with their kids, and that's the most important thing in your world, as you know. And now they're trusting me with, again, the biggest purchase of their life, and it's pretty cool how it's came full circle.
So you're managing, you got these sales right away, but you're also watching Gus's house.
Yeah.
So what made you choose? And we don't have to mention the brokerage if you don't want to, because some people get a little sensitive about that part. But what made you, because you were with another brokerage before Compass.
Yes, I was with Sotheby's, loved it. I have,
What so for the new agents who might be listening to you right now, why did you choose Sotheby's? How did you just kind of fall into it, or did you actually kind of look around? And
Well, Jane and Jeff had represented Michaela and Gus when they moved here.
Okay.
So right off the bat, they're like, and I met with them. I liked the luxury brokerage. I went in their office. It was super small boutique. There was like 13 agents in the office when I got in. I met with Brian Mormon, phenomenal human.
Yeah.
He had a
punter in the
football
NFL.
side.
Buffalo.
And we kind of talked about that a lot.
I've done one deal with Brian years ago.
He's wonderful, and he was such a great. I learned so much from him, and truly he supported me and still does to this day. I mean, all the people at Sotheby's, Jane and Jeff, I mean, they took me under their wing, and it was great. I learned so much. The agents in that brokerage, I think, made me step up my game. They were doing these crazy deals, and I was just like, that is where I want to be. I want to be there. I know I can do it. So I think it kind of definitely raised my standard for what I wanted. So I was super happy to be in there in that office with Michelle Floyd and Jack Floyd and that group. I mean,
when do you start? So you're there. When do you start to get like a bigger vision of what's going on in real estate? I mean, do they provide that there? I mean, from a training or going to events or anything?
Yeah,
I mean, the deal with, to me, and I may be wrong, but someone to me who's performing at your level at a very, obviously a lot of people would love to be doing the luxury and the price point and be mixed in with the people that you've come to surround yourself with. What things were you doing there, or what did they provide things that kind of gave you a larger picture of what's going on around you as far as real estate?
Yeah, and I think as much as I wish I would say, hey, I went to every event or flew to Vancouver to do the Sotheby's meeting, I didn't. I financially wasn't there, and I just, I got pregnant with my first son, and I wasn't ready to invest in myself and spend that, because I was just trying to figure it out on my own.
Right.
I think, though, they capitalized on Shelby User Sphere, and I've really have capitalized on that, and I've gone off of it. And I think, like we said, it's, that 5 years I lived in Jacksonville before being in real estate, building that trust that I didn't know I was building. I was just being me and being who I am, and it worked out for me, and it made those people trust me in different situations.
100%. You mentioned earlier in our sales meeting that, how networked, the NFL coaches especially, but even the players, because they are performing at a high level. A lot of them have been places together.
Yep.
Whether it's the NFL Combine to college, played each other numerous times over the years when they play at a high level, that they do know each other. So when you have one that, Gus Bradley over, and done such a great job. I mean, the sky's the limit as far as, and I think, would you agree, everyone likes to tell everyone about, hey, you need to go to this vacation spot.
Yep.
You need to go to this restaurant because it's the best in town.
Yep.
Or, and then when it comes to the real estate agent, if you've won them over to, you need to use my agent because she is the best.
Absolutely. And that it's with players, yes, but the coaching circle, I think, is actually 10 times smaller, and they cross paths a lot. And so that's what I've realized, it's crazy how, one person or, you help, like, or I was good friends with Nick and Tori Foles, and then they recommended it to the Petersons, and it's just, holy cow, because they were in Philly together and all these things that me and Tori were just girlfriends here with kids, and I didn't think twice when I was creating friendships with her, whatever the case was. But
interesting. You just, I didn't even think of Nick Foles and Doug coming here, and that's obvious.
Yeah. It's crazy how tight knit, and again, like there was that big Seattle crew that came last year, and it worked out for me.
Well, those guys, we don't often think about it, but their networking is so huge. How do you go, like, for instance, Gus gets, fired from the Jags, but then he's 2 minutes later he's getting a call from somebody out in California. You know, and those things happen. And I guarantee as soon as Doug got it was on the air that Doug was coming here, Nick was probably calling him saying, "Hey, great job. Yeah, Jacksonville's great." Or they just have regular conversations saying, you know, "Hey, I hear you might be going to Jacksonville. Yeah, you ought to check out this spot." You need to be talking to Shelby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
those conversations happen.
Right.
They are staying in touch with each other because you never know who's going to be your next boss, right?
You sure don't. Exactly, yes.
From that standpoint. So we mentioned this a little earlier, and I think it's a question that we want to say us common folk think when these athletes sign big, or even the coaches. I mean, they're getting sign-on bonuses and they're getting nice salaries as well. But generally, coaches are, for the most part, a little older. But these young men who are coming in, or women that are just signed their contract, they're getting this huge sign-on bonus, and we talked about. We'll let you mention his name. He's coming from just a moderate family in Georgia, and just has had great success, and everybody knows his name. He comes here, he's your client, and now you're looking at homes like they only saw in magazines prior to that.
Totally, and I mean they're young. I think a lot of players come here or any young person, and they're overwhelmed. Buying a house is very overwhelming. So it's taking that apart and simplifying it, still getting them very excited because this should be a fun process. And I tell people that all the time. I mean, real estate gets very stressful and you want to keep it fun because it is, you should be so proud to be able to do such a thing and buy this house, But yeah, I had Trevor Lawrence come in. Was lucky enough to have him and his wife Marissa as my clients, and just great people, have become friends. But they come in and they're like, holy cow, not only does Trevor have the pressure of Jacksonville weighing on his shoulders, but I have to have a place for me and Marissa to feel safe and comfortable and to call our first house together, So there was a little pressure on me for that too, to find them that house. And we found it off market, luckily, with local agents helping me, truly that circle of realtors, like we talked about in the meeting, that has really helped me grow and trust. So
because when you're in that kind of realm, they're special clients.
Yep.
Special for whatever reasons, successes they have had. Some we know, some we don't even know, and they walk in because they'd walk into a restaurant that we would be in, and you wouldn't realize that person is worth whatever they're worth, and you don't. That's one of the unique things about Jacksonville.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't know who you're sitting. I oftentimes I'm down there and I see the players. I'm like, if I ran into the player at a restaurant, would I recognize who he is? Because obviously most of the time they're wearing helmets and they got a number on them, right? If they're wearing the number, you know who they are.
Totally. Unless they're like 6'8", and then you're like, you got to do something.
If some of the offensive linemen, you come in and say, dude, either, you
got to be helping us on the football field somehow,
you're either doing football or you're one of those guys that like power lifts and the Olympics or something.
But it's so true. We're not in LA or we're not in New York where there's celebrities roaming the streets. I mean, our football team is, our celebrity status, which is super fun.
Right. Yeah, you're not likely. In LA or you drive through Beverly Hills, you could pull up to a stoplight and some famous actor could be parked right there, and it's like no big deal.
Right.
So we touched a little bit, again, I'm always referring back to sales meetings. I told you I'd ask these questions again on the podcast. Okay. So recording. So you come back from Africa and have the internship, you're 22.
Yeah,
right?
23,
23.
Like that.
So immediately you're working with, these high profile people. Like you said, you're bringing these athletes in front of the kids, the different things you were doing over in Tampa. You're working with them, communicating with them. They're generally, I find the most part, the players generally go with the flow.
Yes.
They know how to just casually walk in and they're probably a little easier than the average person to work with from that standpoint. But you're surrounding yourself by these people who have performed at high levels, in this case, athletics. But I'm sure you also, because you're also working in that luxury market, not saying you even have to be in the luxury market. I mean, you could be, any home really, but these affluent buyers to stay in front, because that's your marketplace. what do you do, or what did you learn personally that maybe taught you to do something, or if you just but to stay? Are you you read books? Are you a personal development person, or is it just hanging around a lot of these top people to understand how to act and react and come across? Because you are only you're 32 years old.
Yeah,
31,
32.
And not. And there's a lot of great young people out there, but the average person would not say, like you said, you were always questioned. Oh, are you sure you can do this?
Yeah, totally.
You're 28 years old when you start. And what do you do? What do you think?
It's so funny. I wish I read more books, Tracy. But it's so funny. Every morning growing up, my dad would, wake us up early for work, and he'd say, "Remember who you are." And I feel like I get choked up talking about it, because I just think that's to everybody. Everybody just wants your authentic you. Don't change for anybody. Don't try to be like these clients or these clients. I think remembering who I am, knowing, again, like I talked in the sales meeting, just my intentions are good. My goal is for you guys to find the house, and for you guys to love the house and enjoy this experience. So I would say, again, I used to go to Tony Robbins. I used to be high into motivational speakers. I did the crew team with Tony Robbins for a few years, 1 year in high school, 1 year in college. So I've always been excited about other people trying to get better and, do all that. Since, again, having kids, I feel like I've lost a little bit of that edge and, investing in myself in that way. But I would say that has helped a lot. I'm a pretty darn positive person too. That, another thing my parents taught me was everything always works out, even if it's terrible. I mean, big picture, it's all going to work out kind of how it should. And that sounds corny, but I think I'm a believer in that.
That's huge, actually.
Yeah, it is. You look back at things that you're like, how could this be happening? And, it was supposed to be that way, kind of thing.
Hold the things want to work out thought. I want to come back to that.
Okay.
But even the 2 months you played golf in Montana and made the state championship,
yep, you
were performing at a high level. State championship in any state, unless you're a male playing in a female sport, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You performed at a high level. I assume you did very well at UNLV, but there was something else on that Zoom interview call with the Tampa Bay Bucks that set you in motion.
I guess so.
I'm going back and saying,
right,
what was a pivotal point?
Totally. I look at that all the time, Yeah. You look at those big moments in your life, and getting that email in Africa, like, I'm moving to Florida, that really is a pivotal moment. And yes, those interviews leading up to it, yes, I did something right to get me there, and everything in the meantime. I always tell my husband, I'm like, even if I wouldn't have met you, in Atlantic Beach that one night, I would have met you because I was made to meet you, But right, I look at those pivotal moments that those shaped my life, like that happening, moving to Florida, being with the Bradley family, meeting my husband, and leading me to here, and even having my babies, because that made me, this is what I want to do in real estate. I look back, and trust me, I loved working then in the NFL, but I would have never been able to provide for my family or be around as much as I am. I mean, the NFL, the hours you work for a little amount of pay, it just wasn't what I envisioned for my family. So I think to be able to provide for them and create this life of still getting to be there, to hopefully coach soccer one day and to do those things with them, it gets me really excited.
Yeah. Well, because the reality is that job with the Bucks, I guarantee you they had hundreds of applications.
Of course, yeah.
And the reality is when I go down to the Jags, they have a lot of interns. They're all over the field. They're not getting paid that much.
No.
But obviously the high profileness of the job, and you get to hang out, it's a cool place and cool people around you. The list was endless for the amount of applications, and you do it on a Zoom call, which just says something. I think you presented yourself in a way on that Zoom call from and we contribute to your parents. And you growing up, you're performing at a high level. And what did your dad do? What did your parents do?
My dad's a chiropractor, and my mom, works for him, and they run their own chiropractic company.
Well, they set you off unless there was somebody that mentored you at UNLV in between.
No, it's definitely my parents.
Yeah. They gave you enough that at 22 years old, it opened that door.
Absolutely.
All right. What was the thought I said to hold on to?
Everything always works out.
Everything always works out. We're in a market change.
Yes.
Obviously, in 2008, you were only you were 18 years old. You're probably showing up at UNLV.
Yeah, exactly.
So you weren't even phased by
was not aware. I was living in the dorms, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're in that market, but everything works out. And we were talking a little bit this morning. Things will work out.
Yes.
We might have a little pain, but things will work out, and they have always has. Now, does that mean sit on the sidelines and no. You have to get engaged.
Right.
And I think one of the you mentioned in your bio there's something about positivity. I forget what the actual words you used.
I don't know either.
Easy to get. There was something in your bio that refers back. Basically, you had a positive, energetic attitude, and you felt that opened a lot of doors for you.
Definitely.
Right.
I think people gravitate towards that, right?
Exactly, because when the times get tough, they want to hear. Now, people do gravitate to the negativity. They have to. It's like eating another burger. Like, okay, I got to stop. The negativity, you got to shut that stuff out. Especially, unfortunately, our world in the last 5 or 6 years, the media just wants to suck us in with that negativity. You got to block that stuff out and stay positive, because things will go through. There are greater people than you and I know wanting the same things you and I want for everyone to be successful, peace and and all that great stuff. Things will work out. You keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
Stay positive and keep working through. And you said your dad said that to you every morning.
Yep.
Stick with it. Things will work out.
They always work out.
The Lord throws stuff in front of us for reasons to strengthen us and get better. That's my preach for the day.
Absolutely. I love it. You got to overcome that adversity, right?
Overcome adversity, 100%. Well, and it goes back, we'll circle back to the athletics things.
Yep.
These guys have been through injuries, playing a sore, some of these guys have come from like nothing or perform at a great level because they're so focused and consistent, and they are focused on that thing and don't let these other things distract them.
Absolutely. And that's with so many people. You never know what people have been through. It's crazy, but there's definitely more good out there than the bad. So finding all the good.
I think your dad set you on the right track, and then it opened the next door and the next door and the next door.
Yeah.
And you've been surrounded by extremely successful people pretty much your whole adult life.
Yeah, and loyal people,
not saying your parents weren't successful.
No, but
they
absolutely.
They raised you in the right way. All right, so 2017, we get our real estate license.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
We talked about you thought initially you're just going to manage some properties, and then it led into the sales. You went over to Sotheby's because you knew them there.
Yep.
You still love them there. But you made the change over to Compass. What was that attracted you over there that thought it could expand your business?
I mean, a few things. I definitely liked Compass, reminding me of Sotheby's and the clean, crisp, the luxury side of things. But what really put me in that direction was they have a sports and entertainment division. Oh. And I really kind of thought, wow, I mean, the way things are going, it's been working out for me on this track to have something kind of under my name and to join this other group that is helping, the baseball players of the world, or she's married to an NBA player, and to have her be my, a new friend for me per se, or in my circle to learn from. And we do these monthly calls, and I am just amazed. I think I've been successful these last 5 years, and it's been so fun. But I look at what these people have done and who they've helped in the sports and entertainment, and I still have so much
Compass
to learn.
Kind of caters to that.
Yeah, so me and Kyle Bosworth within Compass are part of it. Out of all of Jacksonville, we're the only two, and so you have to apply and you have to sell, say, 14 homes to a certain amount of, whether they're entertainers or celebrities or sports clients. So then you go through an interview process, and I was lucky enough to get in this last year, and Kyle was already in it, so I've learned a lot from him here. And so it's just been fun kind of learning again from them and being part of this network. So if they have a player that gets drafted, they're like, oh, well, Shelby's on the sports and entertainment division there, and I really think, she's helped Trevor and Christian or whoever, she should be good for you guys.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's been really fun.
Never knew that existed.
Not a lot of people do.
Yeah. So does Compass itself, obviously work, or maybe even was created from someone who was, from the, buy a player, buy a star, buy a what do you call it, representative of them, or in the financial world? Because obviously when you get, huge sign-on bonuses or some, these big contracts that some of them sign, you have special people managing your money.
Of course.
Hopefully.
And and then that's the thing. Ben Moss created it down in Miami, but like Tony Dungy's a part of it in Tampa. So he overtakes kind of the Bucks and the Tampa side of it. But I think they started that knowing we have a lot of clients. How can we all kind of put them on this luxury chain where we're interviewing these guys, so we're not just referring them out. We know them. We're a part of this group that we trust wholeheartedly, and we have a female we could refer, or a male, or whatever they're looking for specifically. So, but yeah, a lot of, obviously, my clients have their people, the agents finding them a realtor. They're not finding. I mean, they have these people doing everything for them. A
lot of these agents are in Chicago or New York or whatever.
And I've got referred to some from their agents, which is really cool that my name has trickled to the agent. And that's actually how I met Trevor and Marissa, through his agent, because he had heard about me through a friend of the Jags. So it's just interesting how it all came through.
I did not, it makes complete sense. That someone would find that niche, because like I said, the players are moving from here and there, whether it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, whatever, and to have that real estate agent plays a role in all part of that, as well as how much money if they need to borrow money, or I'm sure their financial advisor is saying, just put the so much down, you need to keep the rest cash, we'll make the payments every month, so how they are lent money, and especially if they are buying $2 or $3 million home or whatever. LA, I imagine, would be twice as much.
Oh, exactly. And that's the most important thing. I think the minute they sign a contract, they're like, where do I live? I don't want to be at a hotel. I need to find a place for my family. You want to find that safe haven that you have if you are a celebrity or a figure like that. And you really do. You think about that. Their home is kind of number one on their list.
You had your initial sale, so now you have a taste of that you're invincible, I'm sure. But now that first sale with Jacqueline's over, you sold her home. What are you doing next at this time? What in that first year? What are you doing? Because now it's like, okay, now I actually have a business. I actually need to do something.
Right. Yeah. I think it was going into the office being like, what do I do, you guys? Brian, Jane, what do I do? Teach me. And I would, follow Brian and go to these big appointments with him on these multi-million-dollar houses of like, wow, But I started by mailers, like in my neighborhood, My husband and I were living in Oak Ridge at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm going to farm this area because I love it. It's really easy to sell something you love. And I say that, and I say it again and again, because that's also why I love my job. I'm like, hey, I can sell you Jacksonville all day long because I love this place so much. I'm not selling you something I don't like. I believe in it.
I have it down here, my 2-minute warning questions, but just since you're on the subject, what is your favorite thing to do in Northeast Florida? What do the Florenzes do?
Oh, we go to the beach a lot. We love it. But, my husband and I like to golf. Like, if we're going to go on a date night, or day date, we love to golf. Love to be at the beach. We like to go fishing with our boys. I like the sunshine.
All the things that Northeast Florida offers. Yes. It sounds like you go from boating, obviously the beach.
Love it all.
Plenty of golf places. Yes. If you want, you're a tennis player too. All those things are here in Northeast Florida. And like you said, because I had another very popular broker mention, we were having breakfast, and he mentioned the little gem of Northeast Florida is being noticed. Yeah. Because we have this nice river. It provides that atmosphere if you want to be on the river versus the ocean. When we go boating, we like to tube in the St. John's. We like to go to the beach when we go to the intercoastal or offshore fishing or something like that. I don't like tubing in the intercoastal. It's
nobody needs that.
The current moves a lot faster, and it's narrow, and these big boats go through it. It's basically a highway of boats sometimes, and my kids drop off or something. So another thing, but. The gem of Northeast Florida.
Oh, we're so lucky to live here. I pinch myself every day, and we got the sunshine. So,
your experience, and we tipped on this a little bit, but I wanted to see if you could make a direct correlation. So, you're interning with the Bucs, you do a little time with the Rays, and then Gus brings you over here, and you're running his house, basically.
Yeah.
No, because that's really what
absolutely.
you were doing. You are, because I imagine his wife being, it's kind of like the first lady.
Totally.
They have to. They're involved in a lot of those civic engagements.
They were doing their community relations. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they're big. They give so much back, and that was like the best part about them. Along with a lot of other things, but they wholeheartedly give back. So she was like, I want to make sure all my coaches' wives feel comfortable. I mean, she was just hosting and doing all that. So we were like, let's tag team this. What can I help with? What can I help on the community relations part? What can I help with here? What can I help for you to be able to breathe or go to a workout class or whatever? But yeah, it was truly just tag teaming and figuring it out.
Because those, and agree or disagree with me, those people that have reached that level they're maximizing what they're good at, right?
Absolutely.
Gus is all about football. That's all he's doing, and
Yes.
those guys are down there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, especially the head coaches. They're watching video, analyzing, because that is their whole entire. Every play is important to them.
Yeah.
And in every player and how they're interacting, and the 50-some guys plus others that are on their roster in the back end and so forth. So he's gone all the time.
Yeah.
I would imagine you see him, maybe does he make it home for dinner? Maybe occasionally.
Yeah.
Depending on what part of the year
Season
it is,
is,
right?
yep.
Yeah. She's involved in and has to be the face. There's a lot of energy that is taken when you are doing what she would, any head coach's wife would do, because I think I was just watching a movie not too long ago, and it was talking about the colonel's wife, and the whole division goes off as an army movie, and the wife of the colonel, because he's the head guy, she is the head lady, and she's corralling all the wives.
Yep.
Right, and she's taking care of those first-year wives, just like those first-year coaches coming in with their
1,000%.
wives are coming in, and this is how it works. And you may get fired halfway through the season. You may be here 3 years.
Right.
They know the lifespan is not the average time you're there is not long.
No.
In relative thinking.
Not at all, and that's exactly what she did, and she does a great job at it. You can't not love Mick when you meet her. And then you have to think they're also hosting on the weekends, because family and friends come to watch this super exciting time in your life. So it was, going to get their family for pickups, some airport pickups, and getting food catered. I mean, just to make sure everyone is taken care of, which they do. But yeah, I mean, I learned so much. That was the most crash course I've ever,
Crash course, there's a lot of organization involved.
Totally.
In that. And they must have loved you because you were performing at a high level, at least in their eyes, what they expected, you were doing it. And I never thought about all that, but that's common sense. Their families are coming into town, I imagine, constantly.
Oh, because they want, again, it's like such an exciting time in your life.
Right.
I mean, and it's never lasts long, in this profession, and you just don't know, but people want to support you and be there. But yeah, they want to come visit too, because you're not getting a chance, Gus's siblings aren't getting a chance. He's not getting to go see them. So they're going to come see you. We miss you. We haven't seen you in a year. We'll come see you and your kiddos because we can.
And surround the game or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. So
what do you take, roughly 22, 23 when you start doing that until 2017, well, we'll go beyond it, to what you do today. Those things, if you would take 2 or 3 things out of that, and what you what you learn there and how you implement in your business today, what would those things be?
Again, I would just say, I want to say trust and honesty. I mean, everything I did, it was just, being there for that family, being there for my clients. I mean, even if it was senior night, it's just, Carter, I'm there for you, knowing that kid. And same with these clients, they want you at every walkthrough. I'm not going to send anybody else. No, you're my priority. Right. I'll be there for you at inspections. Right. I'm going to be there no matter what. When you call me at 10 o'clock at night in panic mode, I'm going to answer my phone. I'm there for my clients. I was there for their family. And I would say that was definitely a correlation. And then, like you said, I mean, I think positivity in everything you do is going to make everybody more excited around you or want to come back to you. You crave that, to be around positive people and excited people, because that makes everything a lot more fun.
How do we talked again a little bit earlier, you're growing this past client list now, from Jacqueline forward, on there. What are some of the things or some tips that you can share with some agents out there on things you do to each and every one of those clients, whether they bought the $500,000 home from you or the $5 million home from you, what do you do consistently to stay hopefully top of mind that, again, they're referring their friends or family, or when they circle back around, and I'm sure you've probably had some people that have actually bought and sold and bought a new home with you in 5 years, because that happens a lot here.
Absolutely.
Bouncing around from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Yeah. I would say, I can't give away all my secrets, but like I told you, I think like I'm big into like sending a box of cookies or just thinking of them, whether it's their anniversary, or sending a bottle of wine because it was their birthday and I found out where they were eating that night. I think it's the little things that go a long way, knowing people are thinking of you, and wow, that was really unexpected and really exciting. I like to do stuff like that. That's fun for me to give back. And again, I think kind of out of left field, it's even more fun when you can surprise them. They weren't thinking of you,
High level, the word concierge comes to mind to me.
Yeah.
You do a high level concierge, because a high level concierge, someone comes in and is staying in the presidential suite.
Yep.
And they're going to dinner.
Yep.
You're what are the concierge does? I make sure you have tickets. You need tickets to a show. You got a bottle of wine at your table. They'll go out and do those little things to let them know. And would you agree to let them know you're thinking about that?
1,000%. I used to book a 4-top at North Beach Fish Camp every Friday night for like a good amount of time because it was always hard to get in. So then when my clients come in on the weekend, they're like, do you have any recommendations? Yeah, I got you a reservation at North Beach Fish Camp.
Best in town.
Best restaurant in town, really hard to get into, 7 o'clock, it's under my name. And I think people were like, holy cow, like it's a reservation.
If you didn't have somebody, did you go?
Yeah, we always go. No, I would cancel. Luckily, North Beach is pretty loyal to me. They always take care of me. But I always would do that at Marker 32 or North Beach because I'm like, Friday night's tough to get into anywhere. And people always ask.
Very
and it doesn't cost anything. It's just,
Because, if you didn't have anybody noontime on that day, you could cancel.
Well, and North Beach usually calls you and confirms. So it reminds me, oh crap, I had that. But that's always a fun little thing. Again, that's easy.
Obviously.
Again, I'm giving away my secrets.
I think there's plenty to go around.
Yes, definitely. Lots of reservations to go around.
The abundance that you have found in your life, and you're on your niche. The service you give. You like you said, you just added a transaction coordinator here recently because your cup got full and you needed some help on some things, and doing the right things, consistency, but a little. You don't have to make it there, but like you said, it could be just, hey, I know your anniversary's coming up. Here's a $100 gift card to this nice restaurant, or the bottle of wine, and those little things to note down. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in life.
We forget.
We forget those things. I will occasionally go, I'll be honest with you, I like to send birthday cards to my people. I have a thing that does it, and I send them a couple, brownies with it. And over the years, it's gotten so big. I've actually, my sister needed a second income. I said, hey, do this at night. So I make sure those cards get out to them. I'm thinking you guys, but hoping obviously the hope is that my business card's basically the back of the card, and they will come back to me. But it's the thought that counts, right? How many times we've heard that?
A million times, but it's so true. Yes. It's so true. Yes. Everything we do,
I'm sure the restaurants love you to send some famous person into.
Well, I know. Then I call him like, wait, can we get the back table? Trev's got long hair. We got to hide him.
Oh, I'm sure he won. I'm sorry. I'm so terrible with names. The quarterback that went to Philadelphia?
Nick Foles.
No, not Nick. Nick came here.
Gosh, I'm terrible too.
The quarterback before Trevor.
I'm drawing. Oh, Minshew?
Minshew, yes. Minshew.
Yeah.
So I'm down at the practice field, and no one knew who he was. No one knew who he was, and he was best friends with the free safety. Both of them had a little bit longer hair and so forth. But they were like, before Minshew Mania happened, they would walk into the movie theater or the restaurants. They were probably renting an apartment. And then when he became a starter and everyone knew who he was, then all of a sudden they were talking about how he had to go out to watch a movie. He had to be let in the back door, and the restaurant.
Overnight, right?
Literally overnight. They're chasing them down. How there's been some consistency in the show here. I'm going to start to wind down a little bit. how important, because I know we're talking about the celebrities, but for your sake as a real estate agent representing, your professionalism, it's easy to show a lot of the houses, I would imagine you show, because they're nice. Now, yes. I have seen some that are like several millions of dollars, like crazy stuff people do, but hey, if you got that kind of money and you can do that, all right, all power to you. How important for an agent, maybe you got started, don't know why your business is not growing, is educating yourself on the business in all aspects?
I mean, everything. Again, I think even if you have these 23-year-olds, or I'll have 60-year-old clients, and a lot of these coaches, obviously, or anybody, have moved 10 or 12 times. So for them to look at you and say, what should I do? They've bought more homes personally than I, have. Yeah, exactly. So I think to make sure that I have completely educated myself on what I am doing, and being so young, I have to do it 10 times more than the next agent, I feel like, because I am going to be questioned on that, to make sure I am an absolute master at my craft. And so I have these clients who have, again, bought and sold 12 houses on their own. So I need to make sure, hey, I've got you. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know where our market's at. I know what you need to be doing. I know where your interest rate's at. I know where to send you, and have the right inspector work on your house, and just cover your bases at all costs. It's very important.
How important? Because I imagine in some of these homes, in some of these neighborhoods that some of these multi-million-dollar homes are in, there's some unique little idiosyncrasies about the house. Maybe that they got the certain range. A young 21-year-old ball player wouldn't know the difference between one oven and another one.
Right.
And to actually go and do your due diligence to learn some facts about some of these little gems that might be in there, if you want to call them gems, or just unique things about the house. It's not just showing, hey, here's a new construction home that X builder's building for $500,000. Some of these homes have got some unique stuff in them.
Well, and that's what they're paying for. So much of it is, you're not just paying for the size of the house. A little bit price per square foot, but you're paying for the upscale finishes and the appliances and those packages. So you have to be very familiar, so you can show this is worth every bit that they're charging you. Yeah, so you feel more comfortable. I'm not just walking into a builder grade, 4x4, like, the upgrades are there, this cost, or this price makes sense. And being able to make them feel good about that, and again, you do your due diligence, especially in this market. You're bidding over ask, but presenting the comps to them and having that, not just saying, great price. No. I feel very comfortable going this amount over because of this price. If we had to sell tomorrow, we'd be right where we're at.
Do you find a good point of these people kind of coming in the house and immediately, their thoughts are going, I need to redo that kitchen.
Yeah.
Of course, they have the money to do it. So it's not a money issue.
Yeah, but time's everything with them. There's not a lot of time. So, you just don't know how long you're going to be in a situation. So much of it, and they don't want to get in season, whether you're a coach, a player, anybody in their high point of life, or say you're having a baby. You don't want to have to renovate during that. So timing's everything. So it's, hey, can we buy a house and maybe have 1 month of landscaping or whatever while we're gone, and then move in, season starts, or hey, I'm having a baby and my house is ready by then. But timing's everything. I definitely think most of my people at this stage want to move in ready.
How much of a resource are you for them, even post closing? Because obviously a lot of they're coming from out of, you be that concierge.
Yeah.
You're that concierge. Hey, we need the right landscaping service. I'm sure you have 2 or 3 guys on speed dial.
And that's, I think my thing is, I'm not just gonna end you at closing. If whatever you need, I'm there for you. If you need somebody 2 years after you lost, your paperwork for homestead, I'm going to follow up. I'm going to find that. If you don't know something about an easement, or can I do this in my HOA? Well, Pat's on speed dial at Marsh Landing. I got you. I got the answer.
Yeah.
I take that off their plate because it does become overwhelming. It becomes stressful. So that's what I'm there for.
I want and I think you're going to agree with this tip. And it's been mentioned before by another luxury, Lisa Barton as well.
Love Lisa.
Yeah. You've got to have these top services. Now, in your case, you have a young 22-year-old, fresh out of college, just getting married. They've never owned a home before. They're coming in and they're gonna have this whatever thousands of square foot home.
Yes.
They don't have an idea what it takes to take care of a home like that.
No.
And how important it is for you to line them up with the right people, the right landscaper. We're in Florida, the right HVAC person.
Yeah.
The right plumber. These are the people who are going to call and take care of you. They're not going to come in here and get in your business, get in your way.
Right.
They're going to take care of business and get out of your way.
Yeah, but it's also me calling the landscape guy, prefacing, hey, I have this client, don't want to be bothered, this is what we need. Right. I will take that off their plate. I do.
Yeah, I mean, but even, whether it's ongoing or you're kicking it off, that's a service you provide.
I'd like to,
in that home. And because the reality is, if they're calling you and they have an issue, hey, who should I call? The air conditioner's not working. Who should I call? Yeah, you should call him. But you're touching them, and you added value to them. So when they do look to sell, they get traded, or just whatever happens in their life. Who are they thinking about? The realtor they call when who should I call? Who's the best HVAC person? Exactly. Or who's the best this? Who's the best that?
That's a great point. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine these young people. They see you as. It's as providing that concierge service.
Totally.
I don't know. What do you think I should title this podcast? So you should I'll put Shelby Florenz concierge service. You like that?
I like that. I trust
that.
You, Tracy.
Yeah, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Because that's what I think you provide, and that's why you're successful. Because you don't end at the sale.
Right.
You always are available, and then I'm sure like you said, you leave them a list of top people that will take care of them, because they are special. They want some privacy, and not anyone can go and service them. Their needs regarding the house and so forth. So
I like that. I like to take care of people for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what a concierge does. We talked a little bit about the sales meeting. I don't think we talked about it here in the podcast, but how important is it to consistently, which it sounds like when you went to Sotheby's you did, and Encompass, to surround yourself with top people. Go out and have coffee with them. Go have lunch with them. These very successful people you represented. You mentioned some of the things you call up the wives and say, hey, let's go have lunch, or let's get a glass of wine or something. Yeah. How important in your career, and as you grow at only 32 years old, to surround yourself with these successful people just keeps pushing you along and moving you forward.
I think it's everything. And in this last few years of this crazy market, it's really pushed me to call these agents, because I need the inside. I need to find this before it goes on market, So it gave me this, we always laugh, a few of us agents, like, I'm calling these 10 realtors. What do you got? Do you have this? Do you have this? But we got to know each other so well from us just starving for houses, but it created this little niche of us like looking out for each other. Oh, Shelby mentioned to me 2 months ago she needed somebody for this budget.
How many are calling you now?
Well, yeah. Now they call me, and that's what's really cool, because I have no problem picking up the phone and calling. Again, I'm a talker, clearly. An hour and a half later on your podcast,
no, but hasn't been there. We're 58 minutes.
Okay, good. But again, I think that has been so much for me and so helpful, because now they respect me too, and they remember my name. You know what I mean? And then you do a deal with them, and you act, super classy.
How many of them come on a possible listing coming up? They're like, you know what, this would be a good one for one of Shelby's clients.
Yeah, and it's I love it. Even if I don't have anybody, I'm like, I love that they thought of me. It says a lot.
Respect.
Yep, respect for sure.
And obviously trust.
Yes.
There. Consistency in what you do. Can you tip on whether it's something that you do every day? I don't care if it's you get up at 4 a.m., whatever. What is it that you do now that you've learned over your 10 years of adulthood?
Yes, that's it.
that you've put in your game that you're consistent with, whether it's in real estate or life, but attributes to your, because I think in our business, and when you're a real estate or loan officer, you live what you do. You are who you are. You're a real estate agent. You're a loan officer. Wherever you're at, you're hey, I'm a loan officer. Hey, you're at your real estate agent. Right. So we live our lives. We live our businesses.
Yes.
What is it, the one thing that you say you're consistent at?
I run every morning. If I don't sweat in the morning or get my workout in, I'm a crazy person. So that is just, my husband knows. He knows, do not. Like, that's got to happen, or else.
Between the alarm going off and you in the middle of your workout, don't get anywhere.
Oh, exactly. And just let me get it done, because then I'm good. Then I come home, I wake up the boys, I'm super excited. I got my day scheduled out, but man, if that's missed, no one wants to be around that.
So it's, as everyone says, you work out, it sends off the endorphins or whatever, and that gets you going. And again, you listen to a lot of the top people, whether it's Dwayne Johnson or so these people. Some of them are up at 4 o'clock. Dwayne Johnson actually gets up at, I think it's 4 a.m. He does his cardiovascular workout, has breakfast, then goes out and he calls it slamming and banging or something, whatever, lifting weights. That's
I wish I woke up at 4. I'm not there, but yeah.
Because that's his life, and that is part of him is being in that physical fitness.
Yeah.
That's why he has the things he's done in his life and gotten to where he's at. So
right. That's my 45 minutes. Then I'm ready to give everybody else my energy. So
that's your mojo.
That's my mojo.
How important? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, like it sounds like it's a 10 to you that you do that. So if you're a podcast listener, you like to read books, whatever it is that gives you that mojo. Because I think we all need it every day. It's like spinning plates, and if you let this plate start to slow down because you didn't get your workout, it's gonna.
Well, and I think like that's so much of my job and our job is. My job is to give energy to other people and to invest in them, and that is what I genuinely love to do. But to be able to give 100% to my kids and my clients, and to pick up those phones and be excited and fully focused on their transaction and getting them there. Yeah, I have to have my 45 minutes first because that's all I need, and then I am ready to all right, let's focus my energy. Let's get this done, kind of thing.
100%. So consistency. I imagine there's other things in marketing and so forth. You can reach out to Shelby, and we could probably talk a whole nother hour just about those things and the things you've learned. But starting the consistency in your life, in this case, you get up early, you get that workout in, and your day is off into the radio. All right. I call my 2-minute warning questions. We've already answered one, what's your favorite things to do in Northeast Florida, since we were on that subject. But the question I've asked on every single podcast, is it more important who you know or what you know?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. I would say what you know, but I don't know, maybe who you know.
What?
No, I guess in my situation, probably who you know. I don't know. That's interesting. What do you say the percentages of who says what?
Well, I think it's at least 2/3 say who you know, but I think the what you knows don't realize it was the who that actually got them to the what.
Totally.
I mean, obviously, just evaluating you in the hour we've known, the hour and a half we've known each other, I think your parents brought you up, great work ethic and so forth. You go, and it whatever they did opened a door for you. You meet Gus Bradley, things accelerate in your life. Gus introduced you to this person, all of a sudden you're doing that, and all of a sudden these doors start opening all over. So obviously were smart and brought things in as you were taking them in and absorbed them and learned them, and then were able to put them back out because the door opened. You knew, hey, I know how to turn to the right. I know how to turn to the left. You learned how to do that. But who opened that door to open that path? So to me, you are a who you know person.
I just don't want people to think you have to, you know what I mean? I think there's always opportunities to.
Well, would you agree that your success in real estate, as we've talked about it for an hour and a half now,
referrals
is referrals.
Yes.
It's who you know. Now, you got to perform when you get there.
Yeah, I think that's why it's hard for me to say, it's just who you know. I mean, who you know doesn't get you there.
But you didn't know anything about real estate, really, right? You were, 7 years old? Didn't know anything about real estate, and you're like, oh, okay, well.
But they trust me, you're right.
Hey, I need you to watch the house. Well, that's a who.
Yeah.
And then you went and said, well, okay, I need to go get educated.
Yeah.
Then you got educated.
No, you're right.
I'm on the who for you.
Okay, I gotcha. You answered
I
my
sold
question.
You on that one?
Yeah.
All right. I think it's all who.
I love
because, again, not saying you have to be competent.
I was going to say, it's a trick question.
You have to know when the who gives you the opportunity
to
take advantage of it, but the who opens the door.
You're not wrong, Tracy.
You impress someone somewhere along the line. I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I am so glad, and to meet you now. Now we know who sells all the houses to all the guys downtown, and but if anyone, I assume if anyone wants to reach out, her information is going to be in the show notes, guys. Please, if you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe to it. The audio part of the podcast. I do still originate loans, so hopefully I'm adding value to your lives. I think I have some people say, do you originate loans anymore?
Because you're a big podcaster
I'm a big podcaster. I wish I got paid for this, okay? I really do.
You do a good job.
Because trust me, I love the conversations with great people like you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.